Hi, everybody. So my name is Yancey Strickler. I'm a co-founder and I'm CEO of Kickstarter. And we at Kickstarter believe three things: that people are amazing, that ideas are exhilarating, and that we're all capable of creating incredible things. And this is the thesis statement behind what we do. Kickstarter is far and away the largest crowdfunding platform in the world. There have been some 60,000 things that have been funded through the site that encompass pretty much everything you can imagine. I actually think that's one of the least interesting things about us, the crowdfunding part. That's just a mechanic for people coming together to create things. And that's what we think the real special thing about Kickstarter is, and the thing that we really like to celebrate. A tool is only as interesting as the things that are actually made through it. So I'm going to walk through a few things that I really love from the past few years. And I wanted to start with Veronica Mars. Veronica Mars was a television show that was on UPN in the mid-2000s. I think it was literally the fourth least watched show on television. It was around for 3 seasons before it was canceled. This was not a terrible business decision. But fans were really, really into it and really determined to bring it back. And so for about 6 or 7 years, message boards were alive with continued demands that Veronica Mars return in some form. Rob Thomas, the creator of the show, also wanted to make it happen, and so did Kristen Bell at Star. And for 6 or 7 years, they tried and failed. Hollywood continued to tell them, no one cares. This is a bad move. Finally, through the machinations of the entertainment industry, they were able to put the project up on Kickstarter and say, for $2 million, we can make a Veronica Mars movie. And after 7 years of being told no by Hollywood, the fans were able to say yes in just 8 hours. And suddenly, this Hollywood movie got made. A small one by Hollywood standards, a $6 million budget. But 91,000 people together made a Hollywood movie. This is a huge, huge change. It's a community of people coming together to create something. The same is true with the Pebble. This is the largest project on Kickstarter in terms of money raised. It raised $10.2 million. It was looking for just $100,000. This is from a young entrepreneur in Palo Alto, a guy named Eric, who, again, had tried to find funding through traditional things like venture capital, was repeatedly told that something like a smartwatch was not interesting and consumers would not like it. Again, a month later, 68,000 people proved them wrong, and here's a thing that was able to be created. So these things at these upper end, these blockbuster things, and maybe you've heard about these projects, but the special stuff happens on the other end of the spectrum, something like this. This was a family in Atlanta that decided they wanted to conduct a census of all the squirrels in their park. And they got 100 people to help them do it. They created a great poster where they named each squirrel and talked about their characteristics. Did the world need this? Absolutely, absolutely. But projects like this are great, and there's so many of these. There's the first civilian spacesuit. This is made by a former cosmonaut. There is the first hackerspace in Baghdad. This opened in 2011. There are open source Geiger counters distributed through Japan. This is a project led by Joey Ito, and this is after the Fukushima disaster, and a lot of people doubted the Japanese government and whether they're being honest about the effects of the nuclear meltdown. And so Joey and a group of citizen scientists from around the world decided to create an open source, cheap Geiger counter that they could give away to Japanese families to put on the roofs of their homes to track the radiation. And they did this. They did this at an enormous scale and created a site that's live right now where you can go and see radiation readings anywhere in Japan. It's the largest citizen science project, certainly that I know of. And again, this is a group of people coming together and making this happen. A bus stop in Georgia. There's been a lot of civic projects created through Kickstarter, public parks, murals, hacker spaces, things like that. There's also a human-powered helicopter. It's worth just watching this one. There's a prize that's been around for 60 years to try to create a human-powered helicopter that can stay aloft for a minute. This was the first one to ever do it. You also see things like a DeLorean hovercraft.
That is how that's better than a duck boat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the wheels are.
This is lifted from a Giants game. This was like out in McCovey Cove during the middle of the game. This is one of the very first Kickstarter projects. Skate park. An Oscar-winning film. There have been 7 Kickstarter-funded films that have been nominated for Academy Awards. Most recent of them was a film called The Square that was nominated for Best Documentary. This is a film called Innocente, which won for Best Documentary Short last year. But 7 films nominated for Oscars. Like, the biggest stamp of approval you can possibly get. And these are movies made with the direct support of the public. There's also a couple hundred Kickstarter-funded restaurants open around the country. There's about 25 of them here in New York. There are about 100 Kickstarter-funded movie theaters around the country. There's been an interesting thing we saw last year where federal laws from a few years ago that was put together with the support of the MPAA required all movie theaters to switch to digital projection. This was like, so Avatar, I don't know, can be in 4D or whatever is needed. But this is terrible for independent movie theaters. And this is forcing a lot of them to shut down. It's like 60 grand to do those sorts of upgrades. And so instead, a lot of them came to Kickstarter and went directly to the communities and said, we are a hub of a community. For this theater to stay alive, we need to come together and make this happen. Again, there are about close to 100 theaters that went through that process through Kickstarter. Also, libraries. There's been about 100 libraries that have been started through Kickstarter over the past year. Many are small, like the little free libraries you see on street corners. Some are quite large. Again, these are community spaces, people coming together. There's also about 100 things that have been sent into space. This is video of the KickSat. This was a guy who wanted to put 2 satellites into low orbit. It launched just a month or 2 ago. There have also been 3 TARDISes sent into space, if there are any Doctor Who fans. There was also a class of 5th graders in Kentucky, 5th grade girls who sent a camera into space and made a really amazing video as a result. Citizen space travel, space exploration, these sorts of things are happening. Also happening in this huge scale, there's something called the ARKID, which is created by Planetary Resources and Peter Diamandis and some Curiosity rover people from NASA. And this is to create the first publicly funded and owned space telescope. It will go up later this year or early next year. This is something that the public will be able to decide where this is pointed so we can finally find that alien life out there. But what's amazing looking at all these things is that this right here, Drawing for Dollars, 3 backers, $35, was the very first Kickstarter project. This is the first one to ever be funded. It's very simple. Give me $5, I'll draw you a picture of something. And I think the spirit is still very deep into what we do. It is collaborative. It is a proposal of an idea and a chance for other people to participate. It's a very open system that's just available to absolutely anyone to be a part of making something new. And so it started with $35, but it's built and built. And this past Monday, we celebrate our 5th birthday. So Kickstarter's now been around for 5 years. We actually, thank you, Jeff. We've been working on this much longer. My partner Perry had the idea in 2002. For 7 years, he and myself and Charles Adler tried and failed to get this going. Perry is an artist and worked as a waiter and a preschool teacher. I was a rock critic. Charles was a graphic designer. This is not how you start a web company, but somehow we made it anyway. But it's been 5 years, and actually, we're going to celebrate on Saturday with a block party that you guys are all invited to. This is in Brooklyn, 58 Kent Street in Greenpoint, right outside of our building. There's going to be food trucks and bouncy castles and all sorts of fun things. You should come out, check it out. Anyway, so all this stuff is now added up to this huge way where there's now been $1 billion that's moved through the system. We passed this milestone on March 4th. And what's amazing is that over half of this money has just been in the last 12 months. And 62% of this money has come from returning people. People are coming to Kickstarter, supporting things over and over. These mini Medicis. And so I see this $1 billion as not like another victory for some web company. It's an example of a lot of people coming together and a lot of people supporting each other, supporting their peers in the creation of art and just doing creative things. People are not doing this for reasons of financial self-interest. They're doing it because they want the world to have more culture. They want their friends and their peers and their neighbors to do the things they want to do. It is truly benevolent, altruistic. It is excitement and enthusiasm for people doing things that they love. And so the other part of this is that the creators, I think, do a really phenomenal job of they don't just make the thing, they explain how you make the thing. So it's a real relationship that gets made. So going back to the Pebble, you know, this guy raised $10 million to make these smartwatches. Sounds cool. What was even cooler is during that entire process, it was completely transparent. He showed how you make a watch. So you had these videos that were tours of the factory floor in Shenzhen, showing you how things were made. And by the end of this 9-month process, you actually kind of knew what it was to make a watch. And it's just this relationship that gets created. And so that when I wear my Pebble, it's not just this thing, it's this story. And it's a story with an author and many authors, and I'm one of them. But chief among them are these amazing designers who come together and make things. And it's not something you think about a product designer as being an author or something like an iPhone having a creator, but they really do. And so exposing that and allowing people to see how things are made, I think fosters a much greater appreciation for where things come from. You know, the magic of the huge supply chain and the industrial Amazon Prime delivery complex means that it seems like goods are just plucked off of trees and magically show up, but that is not the case. There's years of process, there's millions of people, there are all these things that come together to make something happen. And when we think that things are too easy, when there's too much magic, I think it allows us to take these things for granted and not think about what it is to make a good and what it is to design something. And I think a real appreciation for that is important. And so we see this all across the site. There's a video game project called Double Fine Adventure, huge fan base around it. Once a month, they posted a 45-minute documentary about what happened the previous month in the creation of the game. And sometimes these are really exciting and inspiring, and you got to see new creators get made. They had one 45-minute documentary entirely about writer's block because they couldn't figure out what to do. And just dealing with the pressure of that. And I related to it so deeply. I mean, it's really, really just a very honest portrayal of what it is to create something and the challenges that are there. And you even see things like, in a very Kickstarter way, when Double Fine Adventure finished the game, they put out a minute-long teaser, you know, like a movie trailer for the game. But on Kickstarter, they also posted a 10.5-minute making-of for the trailer. So just layers and layers. It's all this windowing of showing not just the thing, but where it came from, who made it, how, all these things. It's this huge process of people coming together. And so this is what's really exciting to us about what we do. The fact that it's crowdfunding and all that, great. That's what enables these other things to happen. But real people are making things, and they're doing it in collaboration with others. They're doing it in public, and they're sharing it in a really generous way. And this is completely shifting the way that we think how things are made, and we're really excited about it. And to us, it's just a perfect example of these same things. People are amazing, ideas are exhilarating, and we're all capable of creating incredible things. Thank you. I ended really quickly there. What happens now? Questions? Sure. Who has a question? You have a question. What's up? I'll repeat the question, or no? All right.
Hi. I'll qualify myself. I'm a Bloomberg News reporter, and I cover venture capital. So on Kickstarter, there's been funded Oculus that Facebook bought for $2 billion. Don't you feel you and your user are missing out in not getting equity for the companies you fund?
No. I personally am an Oculus backer. I think I backed them for 25 bucks because I thought Oculus looked cool as shit, which it is. You know, I supported it because I wanted to see this thing get made. And I think that now it seems like Oculus will probably take over the world. But knowing those creators and knowing their goals, I mean, they're just like creators and technologists who want to make cool stuff. And they're on that path. I think the reaction to it has been fascinating, though. I mean, the way Twitter just like had this big debate about it, because a lot of the energy I saw is the energy that you saw. I used to be a rock critic before this, and thinking about like if you're someone who bought Nirvana's first single, the first 7-inch when they were on Sub Pop, and then seeing them on MTV and Geffen, you sort of thought, well, shit, that's my band. Like, what does this mean? It's very complicated. And those notions of like emotional ownership of a piece of culture, I think have kind of gone away in some ways, to where like Wes Anderson makes American Express commercials, every commercial has a White Stripes song in it, and no one cares anymore. Like we've just totally acquiesced to that. But yet here with a piece of technology, you see that energy flare up again. You see the sense of like, but I thought this was mine. I thought Oculus was our thing. Like, what does this mean? And to me, it just signals to what degree culture has shifted to tech as just being the center of everything in a really kind of surprising way to me. But no, myself as a backer and you know, fan of Oculus, I didn't feel betrayed by that at all. I mean, they're making an absolutely incredible technology that I think will genuinely change the world. So, you know, I hope they succeed. Are there other questions? Mr. Jarvis.
Congratulations on 5 years, Mazel tov. So people like Amanda Palmer managed to bring a tribe, and you create the platform enabling that tribe to help her when she puts her hand out and says please. But a lot of other people, 3 doodler little people drawing pictures, have to create a tribe, create a community. What have you learned over 5 years about that process, about what it means to attract and draw and then serve and have a good relationship with your community or a tribe?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the real goal. I mean, the goal of any Kickstarter project should not be to get as much money as possible, should be to get as many people as possible, because you're going to spend that money, but that community is going to be around forever if you do a good job. You know, I think for us as a platform, we want to provide as much of a community on our own as we can. So something like 62% of all the money coming from returning backers, and the fact that there's like, I don't know, 70,000 people backed more than 100 projects. I've backed more than 1,000 projects. And I'm still like, I don't know, 20th on the leaderboard overall or something like that. So we definitely think it's important that we are attracting a community of backers who are there to be a part of things. But, you know, the hard thing about doing anything creative, first, it's like making that idea in your head come out of your mouth in a way that you don't feel horrified and embarrassed by, and that's a bigger hurdle than people realize. And after that, getting other people to hear it, you know, and so building that audience is a challenge. I think that we certainly don't solve the issue of creating an audience, but I think we put you in a much better place than anywhere else. I mean, at this point, it seems like a Kickstarter project page is about the best marketing platform as there is on the internet, which is not our intention. But there's something about the way it communicates to people and really invites them to participate that just spreads on the web like wildfire. So I can't in any way claim to have solved the question of like, how do you build an audience and how do you draw new people to your work? But I think that through this process and through the platform, it's certainly more possible than it was before, and it's something that we want to be better at for sure. All right, I'm done. All right, thank you guys. 58 Saturday, noon to 6 p.m., 58 Kent Street between West and Franklin, Kickstarter block party. Hope to see you there. All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks.